Alright, well, this is our setup for the lighting project I'm going to do. Basically what I did is I built a framed out section, kind of like a mock-up of a wall. Getting you a switch box. We're going to do an outlet box in here, put a light up here, and I'm going to show how the power goes in between them and how you basically wire each fixture, so you'll be comfortable doing it if you want to try this yourself. But the first thing we're going to do is we need to get power to our setup. And the way I'm going to do this is I'm going to create a pigtail, or basically I'm going to take a piece of Romex, which Romex is a trade name for electrical cable. This here is 14 gauge, so it's rated for 15 amps of service, or 15 amps of current. And you have 3 wires in here. You have a black, a white, and a bare wire. The black is your power, the white is your common, or your neutral, and the bare is your grounding wire, which is a safety wire. So what we're going to do is I'm going to take this and wire it into this. That way we'll be able to take power from an outlet and feed it to our mock-up. I want to show you how to wire this because this is actually something you may have to do if you're replacing even a plug on a vacuum cleaner or on anything, on a lamp, anything where it became, the cord became frayed, you had to cut it back, or the plug itself became damaged. So what we have here is a 3-prong plug. It's, we have the ground in it, our neutral, and our hot plug. So I'm going to open it up here. We're going to look at the inside of it. I'm going to take this wire here. I'm the only one shooting this, so what I'm going to do is do the work here, and if it's a close-up, I'll just bring it up to the camera to show you what we're doing, and hopefully this works out well. So, we'll start out, we're going to open up the plug here. There's 2, on this one here, this is like for a heavy duty, for like an extension cord. They have different versions of this. If you were replacing a lamp cord, it wouldn't be so heavy duty. Now on this one here, there was the 2 in the back that I just undid. That's going to clamp around our wire, or in this case our Romex, and then these 3 in the front pull it apart. Okay, so there's the casing, and here's the front part. So as you can see, we have a gold screw, a silver or zinc colored screw, and a green screw. The gold is always for your hot. This is for your neutral, your common wire. So you have your black wire going here, your white wire going here, and your bare wire is going to go here. What that does, it puts power where power is supposed to be, it puts the common where the common is supposed to be, and it puts the ground up here. Okay? If you wired it backwards, you're switching your polarity, and I'm not going to get technical here, but you don't want to do that. You want to follow the proper way it's supposed to be done so that your hot goes your hot, your common to your common, and your neutral to your neutral, and your green to your ground. Because if you put your black here on your ground, now you're shooting power into the grounding of the equipment, and or you're pulling. Actually, you don't want to. I'm getting myself inverted here, but you don't want to do that. Make sure you're going colors to colors to colors, or you're gonna have a problem. So, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and start on this right now. Take a piece of 12 gauge here, or this is 14 gauge, and we're just gonna make enough. I've put an outlet on the side of my bench here for this, so we're going to cut off just a little bit here. So you guys are going to I'm going to do this in steps, and I may break this up into several videos, but you're actually going to kind of get a crossover of multiple ways of doing things here, because what we're doing here is we're going to take a piece of Romex. The way I work with Romex, you got to be careful when you do this. I take a razor knife. Now I know my ground is right up the center. You don't want to cut a wire. I've been doing this a long time, so I'm pretty comfortable doing it. We got to get this sheathing going. Now if you're not sure, what I would tell you to do if you're ever working with Romex is cut just the bottom like 3 or 4 inches, and then just lightly score back to where you want to go, and you can actually pull it and peel back. That way if your knife did come through and nick a wire here, you could cut that 3 inches off, and this part here would be good. So I'll show you how I would do that. So like if I come in here, I go kind of deep, and I would cut that out, all right? Then this back part here where I want to work with, I would just take it and kind of gently score it down, All right. Then when I take the wire and peel it, I can actually take this and it'll just go like that. So if I had made a mistake and come through and nicked one of my wires in here, I'd be okay because I could cut that off and still have my good wire to work with right here. So then when you have it like this, you can use your snips to do this if you were ever working with this. Just use a knife. I'm going to cut it and trim it back. So we know we're going to be coming in here. We want to clamp around some of our wire. So we really don't need a whole lot of wire here. We're going to give myself a little bit of extra to kind of work. And if I screw it up or I take too much, I'll just adjust for it. This isn't something I do every day. And, you know, obviously you're not going to be doing this every day either. So if you have a problem, just cut back a little bit. Allow yourself a little wiggle room on your wire. Okay, so I want to feed this guy through here so he's in there. We'll worry about that later. Now I'm doing that if that end was already connected. I could always feed back from the other side, but you never want to start putting something on and forget to put your casing on. Always try and think a step ahead. Alright, so we'll put the neutral on first. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the wire and I'm going to bend a little bit of a U into it. I'm just taking the end of my wire strippers here and I'm making a little U shape. That'll slide around that pretty nice right there. Then I can take these and I want to kind of bend it in so it's nice. And I don't know if you guys can see that, but it's a nice little crimp right around there. And again, I mean, I've been doing this a while. If you do it for the first time, it takes a little bit to get it right. And then we'll do our ground next since it's right there. Now, if you're not sure, whenever you work with power, and I'm just going to talk here while I'm working, always make sure you know what you're working with is dead, that it's off. If you've never worked with electricity before, I wouldn't just jump right in and start doing something. I would get some books out or go online and read up on just the safety of it, you know, basic electricity. If you talk to anybody, they're going to tell you hire an electrician. I'm doing this for, say, like you're a landlord or something else and you're trying to save yourself a few bucks and you're willing to, you know, work with something and you've got the at least a little bit of mechanical ability to do the work. If you know yourself and you're a complete klutz and everything you touch, you're gonna mess it up or make a spark, you may not want to attempt this. You know, I mean, because electricity is not something to screw around with. If you make a mistake, it could be, you know, life-threatening. And that's kind of a little disclaimer I'm putting in here. You know, I mean, you have to know what your limitations are. There's plenty of books out there on how to do this kind of stuff. I'm just trying to show you guys hands-on how something like this would be done. Now, I'm kind of cutting a corner here. They actually have little clamps in here to slide these up underneath. I'm going to come around and go around the clamps and just kind of tie them in. You can see what I'm doing. I've been making these U shapes, sliding the U around my screw in there, and then we're going to clamp it. Now, one of the things I've been doing, if you can see, always remember on a thread, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. So, I'm putting them in so that the clamp, the U, closes around. We're going right, which we're going clockwise. So when I make my U, I'm going around clockwise and clamping it in that way. That way, when I'm tightening the screw, it's actually taking the wire and continuing that arc of taking my U and tightening it up. You can get away with doing it the other way, but you can basically, sometimes when you're screwing it in, what it would do is it will start to separate that U again, and the wire could actually spit out in some situations. So if you're doing this, always just remember to put your U in the along the same in a clockwise way, so that it goes in the same line as what the thread is doing. So in other words, when you're screwing in, it's tightening around the U, not going the other way. If I didn't make that too confusing, I hope that made sense. Second here. Sometimes when it gets something tight like this, you got to help it with a little screwdriver. 14 gauge is real nice to work with. It's pretty soft, and you can get in there. You know what, we're going to make that U a little bit deeper, so I've got something more to work with. And again, just to clear up what I was talking about, if I went the other way, when I went to tighten this in, it could split my clamp apart. So I want to make that go the same way that I'm tightening it. Come like this. This one, I probably should have needle nose on this. This one's giving me a heck of a time here. Here we go. Okay, we got it. Okay, tighten. 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 So now this bad boy is actually wired and ready to go. We're going to take, going off camera here because this slid off the wire. So we're going to slide this guy back on. Now, one of the things I'm going to do is, and I would do this anytime I'm doing a job like this, is take, now I've got different color electrical tape here. I use different colors sometimes just when I'm working to mark stuff. Oops. So, we got a blue tape here. Typically, you'll probably be working with black. What I would do is, if this is something you're using for work or you're replacing an extension cord plug like that, you'd want to add some strength by putting a little bit of tape around that. You can see what I'm doing. That way there would kind of gives that layering. You don't want to go like crazy tight with it or anything like that. You're just trying to get it on there to give yourself an added layer of protection. There we go. And if it was something where you didn't want to do that, like a lamp, you're going to have to be pretty accurate with how far you cut that, how far you cut the sheathing off. Then we just line these guys up. Get in there. Go. And you'll feel it grab, tighten it in. I'm just taking it, tighten it in. Okay, so now we're going to do our back part across the sheathing. Goes. Alright guys, tighten this up a little bit more. And there what we did, we got a plug, it's wired in, it's grounded, it's wired correctly. And if that was like a extension cord or just an appliance cord or whatever, we would now be hooked up to our appliance. The reason why I'm doing it this way is I'm going to plug this into the 110. backfeed myself some current coming out this side so I can feed my display when I'm ready for it. So this end of it will actually come up to where I want to have power coming into this system. So what I'm going to do here, I'll leave this laying there like this where it's dead. Alright, so I'm going to cut it here. That was that video. If you're interested in this, check back with me because I'm gonna post all these videos in sequence. I'll probably just do them like electrical or something. I'll have a title where it follows it, and you can do an easy check-in and see which the videos are and kind of follow through this whole project. If you're interested in it, the way this project is, the first step of it was going to be to make that cord. The second step, we're going to take power and get power fed in, and we're going to do an outlet. We're going to put a switch in, and we're going to feed power from an outlet up to a switch, and from the switch to a light. So you can see how to do an outlet, a switch, and a light. It's just going to be a single pole switch, which is a normal switch, not something like in a hallway where, you know, 2 switches control 1 light. We're just doing just a plain single switch. So, and then down the road we'll do a 3-way. But right now, and then I'm going to also cover a couple other things on the construction of this and the way I use the boxes. So, all right, guys, I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.